We got a bit of a red pill tonight, people. There will never, ever, ever be a revolution in Canada. The population will just continue to take it. And not only do I think this, I know this. I'm going to explain to you simply why. When you look at the current climate and the political landscape of the country, everybody is more divided than ever before. And the system is so rigged, it is so great at dividing the population into different clans and different camps. So for example, men versus women. Women have never been more liberal, men have never been more conservative. For the most part, there's still majority of men would vote for the conservatives and think that's a great solution. The conservatives are just liberal light, but we'll park that aside. The men and women have never been more divided. The governments keep handing out all the land to the natives to alienate the true native population, the Northern European descendant population. All your private property is now gone, and now the natives are going to hold that. They're going to divide the two of them. It's also interesting that they give all of it to the population that also gets none of the immigration. Right? All the immigration, the mass immigration has gone to the major city centers, but it never goes to the native reserves. And I can say this as somebody with a card. I'm a card carrying member of the community, so all you natives in the comments, I'm one of you. And I see that. And that's another thing, the mass immigration. They have the Indians, the Somalians, all the people that are coming over from the third world as a part of this mass immigration, not just the past 5, not just the past 10, but the past 30 years of constantly ramping up the immigration as the birth rates decline, pitting them against the Northern European descendant population. And if you look at, let's say, Minnesota or California, or even New York, some of the work that Nick Shirley has done has really been eye-opening. Now, I've been a very much kind of put your feet up and enjoy the decline, get a hot latte, get an Americano, not a Canadiano, an Americano, and just enjoy it. Because the population will never have enough, and revolt against it. But when you look at some of the fantastic journalism that Nick Shirley has done, where he's basically explaining how the politicians have set up fraud and scam systems where people coming from various ethnic groups and whatnot can exploit this for free money, which essentially is a bribe, they're going to vote for them forever. Right? There's a reason why the state of New York is done. The city of New York is done. They're never going to be Republican or conservative. It's always going to be more socialist, more socialist, more socialist. And same thing in the state of California. If you think the Republicans or the conservative party, whatever conservative notion you want to insert, has a chance ever again in California, you're out to lunch. You are out to lunch. Same thing with the state of Minnesota. They are never, ever going to go conservative ever again because of that. Because when you bring in all these people and they have nothing, and you give them, let's say in Canada, you give them a phone plan, 4-star hotels, we'll give you $80,000 a year just to exist, bring all 13-year kids, and you can bring your family, why would you vote against the machine? You wouldn't. And then you wonder why the ethnic population, the Northern European descendant population, is so angry and upset. We get nothing as the people that are born and raised here, as opposed to the population coming over from the third world that gets all the endless stuff, which is subsidized via taxation of our tax dollars, right? The average person who's working a wage job is paying anywhere from 30 to 50%, 32 to 54% income tax. That money is all going towards that, and then also painting the rainbow sidewalks. There's another thing. As the immigration ramps up and the birth rates plummet, because apparently a quarter of the population is apparently gay or trans. It wasn't like that when I was a kid, but apparently is now. We can get into the rabbit of conspiracy theories as to why I think that is, but we'll leave that for another video. But that's another camp, right? The straights, nuclear family population that want that versus the gays that say, I don't know anybody anything. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have a family. I just want to be gay. I want to be lesbian. I want to be trans, right? All these different enclaves that are pitted against each other. There's so much division, and people hate each other so much that they hate each other more than they hate the system that is causing it, right? People look at, let's use the United States as an example, because they have the midterms coming up, and I think it's a little bit more pressing. Canada, you got 4 more years of Mark Carney, folk. Well, 3 and change, whatever it is. Maybe 2 3/4, whatever is left in this term. So we'll use the U.S. as the example. As people thought the Democrats were a cancer to society, they, with a swift mandate, said, bring in Uncle Donnie and the Republicans. And people are now realizing that the corruption is probably just as bad, if not worse, with Trump and the Republicans. So now they're swinging all the way back the other side to extreme pro-socialism. And the Republicans are really just a liberal party in disguise, right? The Democrats are the true socialist party, but the Republicans are just a liberal party. But all of society is swinging hard towards socialism. They want the government to take care of them and give them free stuff. Yeah? So as things continue to decline, that seems to be the direction everybody's going. Who can handle more free stuff? And the entire system is set up essentially to print all this money out of thin air with the banks and for the elites to use to essentially socialize losses and privatize wins, to privatize profits. So they keep the wins and then you hold the losses, right? And I find it baffling. Keep in mind, I was a professional hockey goalie for 4 years. I played hockey my entire life. I took pucks off the head. I was a goaltender. But I can figure this out. And I look around and I ask myself the question, why can't everybody else figure this out? Am I on crazy pills or something? And the conclusion I come to is yes, most people are, well, maybe I am on crazy pills, but most people are retarded in this country. The media is just a propaganda wing of the elites and the institution, the system. And it doesn't matter, Fox News, CNN, CTV, Rebel News, it's all an arm of one wing of the system. And it's designed to propagandize you and to get you into one camp to stop you from thinking from yourself. I made a video the other day talking about how the elites in the system are trying to box you in, to compartmentalize you into a various camp or an enclave to get you to think a certain way. Because then you will refuse to accept what you've been told at face value and think for yourself and come to your own conclusions. Right? I'll give you one example. The Me Too movement of the past decade and a bit, I believe that was brought in as a way to desensitize the population to the grapes going on. And then when they import the entire third world and all of the native population, women are being raped, nobody will care. Nobody will believe it anymore because they've had enough of it. Right, that's a conspiracy theory that I have. Well, a theory that I have that I believe is at work, simply because I refuse to buy in the narratives and I ask myself simply the question, why? Who? What is the goal? Who benefits from this? What is the end goal? Follow the money supply. Makes a lot of sense to me. Right? You bring in the mass immigration as a way to outnumber the voting base and also increase the tax base. As people are leaving in droves, you need more people coming in to subsidize the CPP, the OAS, and all the pension plans of the boomers. If you look in Alberta, the province that should be the most on board for separation, there shouldn't be a single person in that province that even considers for a second that separation is a bad idea. But then you look at some of the street interviews, and these are just regular boomers, regular people. The number one concern they have, I'm scared to leave because of my pension. I want to get my pension in however much time. These people are so comfortable, and they don't look long-term enough to think about their future bloodline, their future family, their future offspring, to say, you know what, I'm probably not going to get my pension because the government's going to inflate the value away, so it'll be worth nothing. And if I do get it, well, that'd be great, but maybe I won't even get it at all. So what is good for my future family, my future offspring? Right? This is a great way of thinking, but nobody has kids. Nobody is thinking long-term anymore, right? Marriage is an absolute scam, by the way. I've talked about this many times on this channel, but it's essentially a government institution. It takes a man and a woman and puts the government and Mark Carney in between you. And I want you to think, when you're going to go marry somebody, man or woman, woman or man, whatever, you want to get married, you're putting Mark Carney in the bed between you. Me on the left side, her on the right side, Mark Carney in the middle. Insert whatever combination you want. That's what you're doing. It's an institution to raise tax revenue and to use the woman to weaponize her against the man and blow up the families, to keep the birth rates low and keep the immigration high. Keep the wages low. Because when the immigration people come in, when the people from the third world come in, they will work for less wages. They will work for less benefits, less perks, less working conditions. You will not. You have a certain expectation of how you want things. This is how the elites are getting away with this, and this is what they want. Right? They don't want you working at Tim Hortons. They want the immigrants from the third world because they pay half the wages. They don't have to offer them anything because they have to offer you more. Right? This is the way the system is designed. And people, I mentioned this in a video months ago, but I bumped into a girl at the gym. This is like months and months ago, and she was explaining how like the politicians don't know what they're doing. Oh, it's so silly, ma'am. This is what I told her, ma'am. I love your optimism. I would argue they know exactly what they're doing, and this is exactly by design. This isn't an accident. This isn't, oh, well, we meant it to work. No. This is exactly how it's supposed to be. This is how it is designed. And for me personally, coming to this conclusion has really helped me surrender and just accept it and say, going for a walk by the seawall tonight. I'm going to go watch the waves come in. Right? I'm going to enjoy my lunch today. I'm going to enjoy that nice cup of coffee I'm going to make tomorrow morning. I'm just going to enjoy the simple things because there is no point fighting it. Right? Another component, I think, of why the population will never revolt is Canadians have always been very soft, docile, and polite. Roll the welcome mat, right? The whole Canadian motto, I boiled this down a couple months ago, but I think the entire identity of Canada is essentially, I will never do something that will inconvenience you to the point where you have to say something, right? So, for example, the people coming from the third world, if I don't shower for 2 weeks, and I'd never used deodorant in my life, you're going to notice, and I'm going to stink like shit. but you're probably too nice to say something about it, right? I have this come over me sometimes too, where I'm like, do I say something? Do I really care that much? Well, if you're the security guard at my grocery store that I go to all the time, yes, sir, you need to shower or put on some deodorant or something. I might even hose you down with it myself. If I'm out in public just at a random place, I don't care. I'm going to carry on my day, right? That's the Canadian mentality. I will never do something to inconvenience you to the point where you have to say something. We just know it's common code, common courtesy. Nobody's mapped this out. Right? This is another thing that comes back to the elites want to box you in. What is a Canadian identity? Well, a Canadian is a Canadian. We live in the same land. No. That is not the truth. The truth is English or French, no other languages. That's what the country was founded on. Yes, sure, you could say we play hockey. I don't think you have to play hockey to be Canadian. You don't have to love maple syrup, and I love maple syrup. You don't have to love maple syrup, right? But that common value, I will never inconvenience you to the point where you have to say something, I think is a great, that is a monumental component of the Canadian identity that you will never hear in the mainstream news or any of the propaganda arms of the government, because I thought for myself and I came up with that, right? So many components of the system are designed to divide and conquer, divide and conquer. This is what they always have done. This is what the powers that be have always done, because it'll keep you distracted for long enough to not notice what's actually going on. And I would argue, and I would give the elites credit and the powers that be and the politicians of Canada, if all the politicians decided for some reason to come out tomorrow and say, you know what, here's the truth. We've been bringing in people from the third world to water down your vote. We hate women just as much as we hate men, which is why we promote abortions and birth control, because we want to lower the population. We hate men and families so much that we will bring the women in the workforce to water down the wages by half by doubling the volume of workplace participants. We've been stealing from you nonstop with nonstop endless government corruption. We've been taking your tax dollars and giving it to the Ukraine, which is a giant money laundering scam, to also paint sidewalks rainbows, because we also hate the nuclear family, because we want to take your kids out of the system and brainwash them. And we've been doing this via money printing. I'm very conflicted if the population would hear that and say, huh, what can we do to help you? Like, seriously, I think the population, that would be a genuine response for a good chunk of the population. And the other half, or maybe the other 1/3, would say, okay, carry on with their day. There might be 1/3 that gets up in arms and mad about it and posts about it on Twitter or Facebook, but never enough to actually go down in Ottawa to do something about it. That's the thing that it comes down to. If they actually did something where people went down to Ottawa to do something about it, they would be concerned. That doesn't happen. Right? Having 5 or 6 people outside of the House of Commons, the Parliament building, every single day doesn't really do anything. Besides, the politicians aren't even there. They take extended holidays. They went 9 months without a single House sitting, with the government corruption from the Trudeau era into the election, into the summer, with Mark Carney and the boys, and then Pierre losing his seat. Which, if Alberta separates, Pierre will definitely lose his seat, because he'll never win another election again. The Conservatives will never win even half the ridings that they need to. So this is why I believe there will never be a revolution. The people will never stand up and say, this is enough. It's just going to keep going in the gradual decline direction. And I surrender to it, right? You can call me a doomer. You can call me a black pillar. You can call, I would just say it's just surrendering to the truth. Call me whatever you will. But this is the way that the system is designed and currently playing out. Exactly how it's supposed to be. So I have some ideas as to solutions of what to do to improve my personal situation. And again, my circumstances and the shoes that I'm in. But I'd love to know in the comments section, what do you have planned? Also, become a channel member. It's 99 cents. Support the content creation like this. If you like what I have to say, get access to all my videos scheduled, ready to go live, early in advance before they go live. But comment section, what did I hit? What did I miss? What do you agree? What do you disagree with? And what are you doing to combat this? Right? I don't see a revolution happening. I really, really, really don't. Right? You can try to convince me in the comment section below, but I don't see it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.